Friday safety focus of the week. Today, Friday, July 12th. Going to be a pretty good day today. This week's code of conduct is to respect the property of others. Ben Dow, you out there? Anything to add to this?
Yeah, just property is a personal thing, so treat it with respect and treat it as if it was your own.
So good job this week. Another 7 days. So our day count is up to 17 days from our last recordable and first aid. We do have a lot of going on today with some emergency work, and then the shutdowns. We'll be working on weekends. So let's remember our best practices and keeping our priorities in line: safety, quality, production. Let's not flip them. Let's remember to bake in safety with all of our decision making, as we're all going to be kind of working over the weekend. So let's stay focused this weekend, and let's come out on the other side going home the same way we showed up that day. This week, I wanted to highlight, and it's kind of that time of year for us to look at rigging inspection, as we've been doing a lot this year, and usually by July and August we really start going through all of our rigging, and this is the time of year that we start seeing kind of defective rigging, and we've already started seeing that a little bit earlier than normal. Tom and I have been taking some slings out of service, so we wanted to highlight a couple of just best practices when it comes to synthetic slings, and just let everybody know that Tom and myself have them in our pickup truck. So if you see us, let us know and we'll exchange them out. But again, we're going to be looking through all of our synthetic slings over the next, 6 to 7 weeks. So a couple, some tips and tricks is making sure that when it comes to anything with rigging, we want to know our weights. We want to know how heavy the object is we're picking, and we want to make sure that the synthetic sling that we're utilizing is strong enough, has the proper worker load limit to pick that load. So again, it should be legible. You should understand all the weights that you need to know to do that job safely. If you don't, please stop, ask questions, and we will help get the proper tools for the job. So it's a pretty basic, gives you working load limits, the 3 different hitches: the vertical, the basket hitch, and the choker hitch, all different weights to that. So biggest thing that we see is the inspection. Sometimes we kind of push these synthetics a little too far. You don't really see anything bad like this with major holes, or we're not twisting knots in it. Again, those are all just unsafe, bad behavior practices. So we really want to make sure, as soon as we start seeing the cuts on the eyes, that's when we really start seeing the first sign of wear. Is the eyes of the synthetic sling will start to show red and green fibers. Once you start seeing those fibers, that is when you need to take it out of service. Don't push those fibers, because that's when a failure could happen. And when it does fail, especially if it's overhead, bad things happen. So when in doubt, take it out. When it comes to rigging and you start seeing those cuts and abrasion on our synthetics, take it out of service. Don't push it. It's not worth it. Even if it's lightweight stuff, if you're just moving HDP pipe with it or something like that, it's not worth the risk of something violently can happen when synthetics go. Proper storage. This is going to keep our synthetics lasting long and healthy. Again, everything, prices have gone up, synthetics have gone up. So again, to help save costs, let's make sure we do proper storage with all of our rigging, especially our synthetics. It's very sunlight really eats away the integrity of the synthetic strings. So don't leave them in the back of the pickup trucks. Don't leave them out and about on job sites where they can get mud and water, and in the wintertime, ice and all that stuff will really deteriorate the strength of our synthetics. So let's use proper storage, roll them up, put them in the back of your toolbox, or if you do have job trailers and Connex boxes, put them in there and hang them up and make them look neat and orderly. Good housekeeping goes a long way to help keep you safe, but also keep the integrity and the strength of these synthetics lasting longer, and that will help with our profit. So some just basic rigging best practices when it comes to synthetics, and overall some rigging tips. We're going to talk more about chains and wire rope in the future. But again, try not to pull your synthetics from underneath the load. Dragging these things, especially underweight, really causes a lot of cuts and abrasions on the synthetics, and it really it takes the life of the synthetic right away. Try not to, with any rigging, especially with synthetics, don't shock load it. Um, Make sure your slings are not bunched up and get pinched. These things can get pinched up very easily, so you want to try to really work them out, smooth them out before you pick. It's always very important before you even do any picks. We always do a test pick. Always lift it up about 2 inches off the ground. Give it a second. See what's going on. See if you got to make any length changes, especially if it's a multiple leg pick. Always do those test picks, and then our load is not make sure the load is not too hot or covered with a chemical compound in the sling. So again, if we're welding, we're cutting, and then we're trying to wrap a quick synthetic over it, we might need to cool that thing down because that could cause a dangerous situation with burning. And then lastly, it's one of the most important parts and where you see a lot of rigging failure with synthetics is the choker hitch. It might be a double leg choker hitch, and then you don't have the center of gravity just right, and you see the load shift, and it can actually slip out of the choker hitch and fall on somebody. So if you are going to use choker hitches with synthetics, do the double rep choker. That extra revolution around your object is going to, all that surface contact is really going to prevent any sliding or slipping, especially if you don't have it perfectly centered. But again, that's the important part of doing a pre-trip, a pre-pick, and 2 inches off the ground and waiting to see. But that double wrap choker is that extra line of security for us to making sure that if anything does happen in transit with regarding that overhead pick, we're going to have a good stable pick where nothing bad could happen. Is there any questions or comments that anyone would like to share? But that's with our presentation today on synthetics.
It's another quick thing. Maybe you kind of indirectly mentioned it, but I noticed a month or so ago we were making a pick on a heavy steel beam with a synthetic, and it was a kind of a beat up beam, so there could be sharp edges. So if there's any kind of sharp edges, rough edges that can cut into the fabric of the sling, that's a bad thing, obviously, because it's under pressure. It can just force that right into the fabric. So careful there. The other thing is that as we're talking about this, one of the things I remembered from a trip I did with Gene Trombley, we had taken after we took up the Lamoille Valley Rail project back, I don't know, 2006 or 7 or something. The rail was sold to a company that was doing one of the big tunnels for the Long Island Railroad. And we went down to visit the site in New York, and this big project, the big guys, the big boys, right? Well, then I got there and I saw that they had slings just laying in the tunnel, on the ground, in the mud, in the yuck, and it was like that stood out to me as just bad practices. So, obviously all these things are important, but it starts with picking up stuff off the ground.
Yep, I agree, Ken. Thanks for sharing.
Yep. Okay, so I'll take over here.
Stop sharing.
Oops, I think I got the wrong one.
Yeah, we got your email.
Yeah, let's see. Let's try that again. Oops. I can't. There we go. Hit share. Stop sharing. Share. Safety focus of the week. Here we go. Okay. Now I should have the right one.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. So no new announcements except a modification to a previous one. This was last week was the last week of the premium holiday for the healthcare premium. So unfortunately, it's all over, and we have to be back to paying the insurance companies to keep us protected, and there will be some changes, obviously, in your paycheck this week. Not to the better. I also have the social media links and also the June photo contest results. And this was the Richmond Bridge, kind of a nice foggy morning in Richmond, taken by Tom Pigeon with the our 138 crawler crane up there holding the American flag. It's probably just, I would assume that was just before Independence Day. We have quite a few new employees. Here's a William Dupree. I hope I get all the names pronounced properly, by the way. I didn't check back with Matt or rehearse these, but there's William. I don't know if he goes by William or Bill or Will, but we'll find out soon. Will, okay. Ronald Hibbard, these are the concrete guys. Michael Silva, he's a new survey guy. You have Isaiah Larrabee, the civil. Isaiah, sorry, yes. And Greg Barnett with rail. And then Colton Murphy with the civil group. So pretty cool. Like to see all new faces. I'm excited to meet you. I've met a couple of you already. And then here, this is just kind of a congratulations. We had a little ECI off hours team here a couple Sundays ago playing golf together. Tom Pigeon, Richard Keach, Nate Bellevue with Jesse Lumbrot, and Jesse got a hole-in-one at the Williston Country Club. There he is holding the ball over the flag there, and geez, how exciting. Pretty much a great accomplishment for sure. Congratulations there. And this week we're going to talk about the Town Hall Theater Plaza and Annex expansion project. We were the concrete construction contractor to Breadloaf, and that was in Middlebury. I guess I messed up my color on my text here. I'll read through it. ECI was contracted with Breadloaf Corporation for the concrete construction of the $7.5 million, that's not our budget, but total project value at the expansion. The expansion will include a new outdoor plaza for performance space and for people to gather and socialize. The first floor of the annex will house the scene shop. The second floor will host educational programming, and the third floor will be rehearsal space. The ground floor will be an exterior stage. So this kind of fits along with their existing little theater playhouse, which didn't have any of those facilities. Our part of the project is to cast in place new foundation footings, column pads, walls, piers, interior slabs, metal deck slabs, and colored sidewalks. So all that includes 89.5 cubic yards of concrete for the footings and column pads, 180 yards of foundation wall. So quite a bit of wall, ranging from 4 to 17 feet. That's a pretty high wall for sure. 135 yards of slab on grade and decks, again, good size. 70 yards of exterior colored sidewalks and stairs. Wow. And installed 66,000 pounds of rebar with 10,250 square feet of wire mesh. The project was one of our most recent tough jobs that we've done in a while. Many challenges, including the site was very small, very tight. As you'll see in the pictures, we had to stage rebar and panels at Breadloaf's office buildings and truck it up the job as needed. Some of the footing and wall required our trailer pump to place the concrete in the forms, and that means lugging around hoses and everything. So especially getting up and over walls is challenging. The guys had to lug panels down in the hole and lug them out after a strip. The guys did an amazing job lugging everything around. This job had a lot of challenges to the plan details and elevation changes on the walls. So I'll let Ronnie narrate the scenes we're looking at. If you're there, Ronnie.
Yep. Well, this is what the finished product's going to look like. That little center thing is the outside stage that they're going to have for, when they have shows and stuff like that. You want to go to the next one, Ken?
So I just mentioned you can see it's sandwiched between the existing theater on the left, and the white building, a lighter shaded building on the right is like an old church or something. I'm not sure, but it, that's it right there. And then it drops off to the railroad tracks in the back, right? Okay.
That's just a picture of the overall, what it's gonna kind of look like, and you can see the shape of the building. There was a lot of corners, some radius wall, you know, some 45s, 35-degree angles. It was quite a challenging job.
Yeah, and that slot was previously occupied by the old annex building, and it was actually during the Middlebury Tunnel. Kubricki rented it, and we had attended meetings there and stuff like that. It was an older building. It was past its useful life, but it was used for the project for offices.
That just shows when we started. This is the long retaining wall coming up, which is good size. A lot of steps in the footers, a lot of elevation changes. We got some wall in the back there that's not poured yet, but we poured that back wall and rest of this footing that you can see with our trailer pump. So it was quite a challenge.
And that's because you couldn't get a boom pump in there.
Yeah, we couldn't get the boom pump because of the way they dug the hole and wires. So it was a challenge.
I see overhead wire there in this photo. So that's our ground line they're using, our pump.
Yep. Yeah, that was the ground line, pulling it around, so it was a lot of work pulling that to all the different spots here that we had to pour.
Couple of the proud guys.
Yep. They're called working on something. There was a lot of custom forms, a lot of custom building for the pockets, the bolts, the plates, and as you can see, the different elevations and the footings, all it was
Hey,
tricky. It just kind of shows you like the height of the wall in one spot. A lot of rebar, double matted rebar. I think this
How
was
thick
the 16 to 17 foot high wall.
how thick were the taller walls?
Everything was 12 inches, and then 12 and under. I don't think anything was thicker than that, but just one of the walls that the guys were getting ready to pour. You see the elevator down there, so that's always a challenge when they have the elevator hooked right to a higher wall.
Hmm. Yeah, I see it's also right next to a jog in the building.
Yeah.
Look at the steps in the openings. There's a opening on the
Yeah,
bottom
it's-
right there for some reason in the footing.
Then you can see that little pier there all by itself. This is that piece of the retaining wall. They got ready, and I think they're getting ready to pour that. Looks like. That's part of the job. We got some wall at the back wall facing the tracks that is all stripped out. Then they started working it up. As it comes up, the wall started stepping up and they got higher as they come up closer to the building. That was a nice little picture of some of the walls stripped and shows you the size of the walls, the height of them walls.
Right, and this all these steps in these
Then you
piers.
got this little column down here in the bottom that you've got anchor bolts there. So that was a big challenge is shooting all them columns in and out, and the survey department helped us out a lot on that. Worked out well. Team effort.
You got steel here.
Yeah, this is the part where they got the steel up and we were finishing up. We left sections of the wall out so they could get into backfill. And this is one of the sections you can see in the back. We were setting that wall, and then we have the radius wall here in the front.
So radius wall, and you just use forms and just.
Yeah, just pin them loosely and follow the line, go right around in it. And it makes a nice looking radius.
Yep.
It was a little bit of a challenge because there was 3 different radiuses that tied into this front wall. So it wasn't like, you could just cut some radius whalers on a certain radius. It was just, we ended up just putting panels and turnbuckles and keeping it plumb. It worked out well. There's we're pouring one of the deck slabs. And we still have some deck slabs to pour. This is the first, or this probably this, yeah, I think this is the first one that we poured. Might be the second. We poured 2 deck slabs already, and we're getting ready. Next week we'll probably pour another deck slab and a slab on grade.
All right.
You guys are pouring.
And you still have the colored concrete on the outside.
Yeah, the exterior will have that'll be, towards the last thing that we'll end up doing anyways.
Yep. That was it. Okay. Thanks, Ronnie.
Yep.
From the project archives, I had the VTR Bridge 232, the superstructure replacement in Middlebury, back in September 2013. So there's the guys mixing grout for the closure pours on the precast deck. So, all right. Well, thanks a lot, Ronnie. Good job. Excellent job from the guys here at the concrete group, and the survey group will help. So the great little presentation, and I'll turn it back over to Matt.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, if you watch it in a group setting, please send over attendance. We'll get this thing recorded and pushed out. I know there's a lot of crews kind of working right now as attendance is going to be a little down this morning, but we'll get that out. So hopefully everybody can catch it during a break time today, maybe lunch or when we're waiting on trucks or something. We can get everybody tuned in. So
Stay safe on all this weekend, evening work, and
yeah,
there's going to be a big push, a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah,
Yep.
think safety first.
Yep. Keep the priorities in order.
Yep.
Right, Ben?
Yeah. Keep them in order.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Yep. Bye.